What up, though? Everybody talking about money. From the time you're a few months old, your mama and daddy send you to daycare, then preschool, then elementary school, high school, college, university, to line you up to get a job, to get money. And when your mama and daddy drop you off at school, they go to work to make some money. And when you get home from school and your mama and daddy ain't there, guess where they at? Yeah, getting money. Everybody want money. Every hustler trying to get money. If you got this amount of money, you can get this woman. If you got that amount of money, you can get that woman. I started working at the flea market at like 8 years old. Why? To get money. I used to stand outside the grocery store and carry people's bags to their cars at like 7 or 8 years old. Why? To get money. My little brother used to go downtown during the big events and shine shoes. Why? To get money. Everything you do, your intentions is to get money for doing it. Food costs money. Water costs money. Your dwelling costs money. Your electricity costs money. Your heat costs money. The fuel for your car costs money. You work from a teen to an elder and beyond to make money in an effort to take care of and or provide for yourself and your family. And with all your money, do you truly take care of and or provide for yourself? Do people who earn hundreds of thousands of dollars take care of themselves? Do millionaires take care of themselves? Some people make a lot of money. Some people take a lot of money. Any way anyone accumulates money is to be able to take care of themselves. What is money? Mike Maloney is host of the smash hit video series Hidden Secrets of Money, former Rich Dad Poor Dad advisor, author of the best-selling Precious Metals book Guide to Investing in Gold and Silver, and founder of goldsilver.com. Hidden Secrets of Money, Currency versus Money. Roughly 5,000 years ago, the Egyptians started using gold and silver as their predominant form of currency. But it was not yet money. The pieces of gold and silver that they were using were odd sizes and weights, odd purities. So it still was not interchangeable where each unit is the same as the next. This meant that nothing really had a price yet. You couldn't put a price of so many coins on something because they didn't have coins yet. Trade was still difficult. It was still a guessing game when it came to the exchange of values. One of the reasons that we are in the financial mess that we are today globally is that people do not understand the difference between currency and money. Currency is a medium of exchange, a unit of account. It is portable, durable, divisible, and something called fungible. Fungible means that each unit is the same as the next unit. $1 in my pocket buys the same amount as $1 in your pocket. Money is all of those things plus a store of value. Again, money is all of those things plus a store of value over a long period of time. Even financial planners, bankers, your accountant, they don't understand the difference between currency and money. The currency in your pocket is a medium of exchange. It's a unit of account because it's got numbers on it. It's somewhat durable, it's portable, it's divisible, and you can make change, and it's fungible. But because governments can print more and more and more of it and dilute the currency supply, It's continually transferring wealth out of your pocket, out of your bank account to the government and to the banking system. Gold and silver are the optimum form of money because of their properties. It's an easy medium of exchange because gold and silver store a large amount of value in a very small area. Pure gold has the same value all over the planet. So an ounce of gold buys the same amount here in Egypt as it would in China or in the United States. It's durable. The same gold that Egyptians were using in trade 5,000 years ago is still here with us today. It does not corrode. It's divisible. You can make change with it. It's very portable. It's fungible. Pure gold is the same wherever it is on earth. Pure silver is the same wherever it is on earth. It's limited in quantity. That's the reason that it maintains its purchasing power. Governments cannot print it. Over the last 5,000 years, only gold and silver have maintained their purchasing power. There have been thousands upon thousands of fiat currencies, currencies that are unbacked by gold and silver, and they have all gone to zero. It's 100% failure rate. Fiat currency, of course, is a currency that exists at the dictate or by fiat from a government. It's just worthless paper. Currency facts. U.S. Currency Education Program, uscurrency.gov. Federal Reserve notes, or fiat currency, are a blend of 25% linen and 75% cotton. Again, the paper that you got in your pocket, the money phones, the bag, the scratch. Federal Reserve notes are a blend of 25% linen and 75% cotton. Gold Standard, Britannica Online Encyclopedia. Gold Standard, monetary system in which the standard unit of currency is a fixed quantity of gold or is kept at the value of a fixed quantity of gold. The currency is freely convertible at home or abroad into a fixed amount of gold per unit of currency. In an international gold standard system, gold or a currency that is convertible into gold at a fixed price is used as a medium of international payments. History. The gold standard was first put in operation in the United Kingdom in 1821. Prior to this time, silver had been the principal world monetary metal. For the next 50 years, a bimetallic regime of gold and silver was used outside the United Kingdom. But in the 1870s, a monometallic gold standard was adopted by Germany, France, and the United States, with many other countries following suit. In the full gold standard that thus prevailed until 1914, gold could be bought or sold in unlimited quantities at a fixed price in convertible paper money per unit weight of the metal. The reign of the full gold standard was short, lasting only from the 1870s to the outbreak of World War I. That war saw recourse to inconvertible paper money or to restrictions on gold export in nearly every country. By 1928, however, the gold standard had been virtually reestablished, although, because of the relative scarcity of gold, most nations adopted a gold exchange standard in which they supplemented their central bank gold reserves with currencies, US dollars and British pounds, that were convertible into gold at a stable rate of exchange. The gold exchange standard collapsed again during the Great Depression of the 1930s. However, and by 1937, not a single country remained on the full gold standard. But in 1971, dwindling gold reserves and a mounting deficit in its balance of payments led the United States to suspend the free convertibility of dollars into gold at fixed rates of exchange for use in international payments. The international monetary system was henceforth based on the dollar and other paper currencies. The gold's official role in world exchange was at an end. Again, the international monetary system was henceforth based on the dollar and other paper currencies, and gold's official role in world exchange was at an end. And now you sacrifice your time/freedom for numbers on the screen. At least with the fiat currency, you had a portion of cotton and linen. Now you take pride in earning virtual compensation. So, do you got some money or not? Are you actually taking care of yourself today? Let me ask you again. Are you actually taking care of yourself today? Self-sufficiency is when you harvest the fruits of the soil, the vegetation, trees, and organic materials to build your dwelling. You harness rainwater and dig a well for your needs. You manage your own waste through composting. You utilize fire for light and cooking. Do you have an earth soil portion? Do you have a water source? Again, do you have an earth soil portion, or what we term as land? Do you have a water source? Facts about ownership of U.S. land, the natural farmer. Facts about ownership of U.S. land. The land surface of the United States covers 2.3 billion acres. 60%, 1.4 billion acres, is privately owned. 29% is owned by the federal government, 9% is owned by state and local governments, and 2% is in tribal reservations. Land ownership patterns changed substantially in the first century after U.S. independence. Between 1781 and 1867, through purchase, cession, and treaty, the federal government acquired lands totaling 80% of current U.S. area. Again, this is from the naturalfarmer.org. Constituting the original public domain. As of 1998, 1.1 billion acres of the original public domain, about half of the total U.S. area, had been granted or sold by the federal government to states, corporations, and individuals. Grants to states totaled 329 million acres, including 65 million acres of wetlands, granted on condition that proceeds from their subsequent sale to individuals be used to convert those acres to agricultural production. Another 288 million acres were granted or sold directly to homesteaders on condition that the land be settled and cultivated. Most lands in federal ownership are managed by four agencies: USDA's Forest Service and the Department of the Interior's Bureau of Land Management, Fish and Wildlife Service, and National Park Service. The number of farms declined from nearly 7 million in 1935 to about 2 million by 1997. Okay, the 2021 Land Report. Who owns the most land in the United States? 2021, this is from Business News. 2021 Land Report. Who owns the most land in the United States? The Land Report 100. America's leading landowners added hundreds of thousands of acres to their holdings last year. Land Report magazine. This landmark study tracks the diverse array of farmers, ranchers, forest owners, entrepreneurs, and investors who own at a minimum 243.75 square miles. In the study's first year, 2007, the founder of Burt's Bees, Roxanne Quimby, qualified for the number 100 slot with 75,000 acres of Maine timberland. Nevada's Ellison family, Cattle Kingdom in Elko and Lander counties, consist of more than 2 million acres of leased federal lands. They hold title to 156,000 acres. Who is the number one landowner in the United States? At the top end of the Land Report 100, in 2021, California's Emerson family owners of Sierra Pacific Industries acquired 175,000 acres in Oregon from Seneca Jones Timber. That transaction, which was announced on October 1st, raised the family's holdings to more than 2.33 million deeded acres. Other top landowners. Liberty Media chairman John Malone ranked number 2 with 2.2 million acres of ranch land. Washington's Reed family ranked number 3 with 2.1 million acres. CNN founder Ted Turner ranked number 4 with 2 million acres. Los Angeles Rams owner Stan Kroenke ranked 5th with 1,627,500 acres. With almost 269,000 acres, Bill Gates retained his ranking as America's largest private farmland owner. The Fanjul family, 190,000 acres in South Florida. The 2022 top landowners in the Land Report 100. Number 1, Emerson family, 2.33 million acres. Number 2, John Malone, 2.2 million acres. Number 3, Reed family, 2.1 million acres. Number 4, Ted Turner, 2.0 million acres. 5, Stan Kroenke, 1.627 million acres. Let's move along to what is groundwater? U.S. Geological Survey. What is groundwater? Again, I asked the question, do you have an earth soil portion? Or as we term it, land? Also, do you have a water source? Do you have your own water source? Being it that Water is essential to life, being that we're told we're made up of a large amount of water, and this earth is made up of a large amount of water. So, do you have a water source? So, from usgs.gov, what is groundwater? Groundwater is water that exists underground in saturated zones beneath the land surface. Groundwater does not form underground rivers. It fills the pores and fractures in underground materials such as sand, gravel, and other rock, much the same way that water fills a sponge. Groundwater is the source of about 40% of water used for public supplies and about 39% of water used for agriculture in the United States. USGS.gov. Definition of surface water. Law Dictionary, lexroll.com. The term surface water means the water from rains, springs, or melting snows, which lies or flows on the surface of the earth, but does not form part of a well-defined body of water or a natural water course. Butler versus Bruno, 115 R.I. 265, 1975. Who owns America's water? Al Jazeera. June 9th, 2018. June 9th, 2018, by Gina Benevento. Gina Benevento is a former UN diplomat living and working in Madrid as a strategic communications consultant. June 9th, 2018. Who owns America's water? Al Jazeera. Water is fundamental to life. Yet, if you are an average American, you would be lucky to have access to it at a price you can afford to pay and not be poisoned. The residents of Flint, Michigan, forced for years to use expensive bottled water for everything from cooking to showers. Again, let's go back up. This article by Gina Benevento, June 9th, 2018. Keep that date in mind. June 9th, 2018. 2018. Flint first gained notoriety for lead poisoned water in 2014. Flint River contained high levels of chloride ions, making it highly corrosive to the lead pipes it traveled through. Residents suddenly reported outbreaks of skin rashes and dramatic hair loss, but most alarming was what happened to the children and babies. Fetal deaths increased 58%, while children's lead exposure rates doubled. Today, more than 12,000 homes are still without access to clean water. When she says today, it means 2018. Residents of these 12,000 households are forced to consume bottled water, an average of 151.5 liter bottles daily just to meet minimal household needs. For the many residents unable to buy bottled water, there is no choice but to continue using city water. Water which in 2015 contained lead levels recorded at 13,000 parts per billion at times, more than 866 times above federal guidelines. Philip Landrigan, Dean for Global Health at Icahn School of Medicine and the global expert on lead, told the New Republic, Even at the lowest levels of exposure, we know that lead erodes a child's IQ, shortens attention span, and disrupts behavior. Lead damages children's brains. While Flint was experiencing the worst point in its water crisis, only 2 hours away in Everett, small town America, with clean streams and an untainted aquifer, the corporate multinational Nestle company was pumping the equivalent of 100,000 times an average Michigan resident's water use into plastic bottles for sale at $1 a bottle across the American Midwest. In return, Nestle paid the state of Michigan $200 annually, an amount equal to the quarterly water bill of an average Flint resident who is charged at one of the highest rates for tap water in the U.S. In 2016, Nestle saw sales of 7.4 billion from bottled water. In a class action suit filed by Flint residents, a legal action intended to secure community rights to affordable water. After losing in a lower court and appealing, federal court judges ruled against the action, stating a right of this nature is not rooted in our nation's traditions. In 2016, a Reuters investigation found almost 3,000 areas in the U.S. with metal and chemical poisoning rates far higher than Flint. Corpus Christi, Texas, a predominantly Hispanic city, was forced to close all its schools and businesses for 4 days in December 2016 when a corporate chemical spill rendered the city's water supply undrinkable. Remember, this article is from 2018. 2018. The story of water in the U.S. is the quintessential American story of wealth, class, race, and privatization of national resources running roughshod over human rights and equality. Leanne Walters, winner of the 2018 Goldman Environmental Prize for the community movement she started to test drinking water in Flint. Walters discovered lead levels in her home so high that her kitchen tap water qualified as hazardous waste. Remember the dates. 2018. Gina wrote the article for Al Jazeera 2018. Flint drinking water response. U.S. EPA, the United States Environmental Protection Agency. Since January 2016, EPA has been monitoring compliance with its emergency administrative order as amended to ensure that Flint's drinking water system continues to improve. Flint's system currently meets regulatory criteria for lead and copper. EPA has awarded a $100 million grant to MDEQ to fund drinking water infrastructure upgrades in Flint. The funding provided by the Water Infrastructure Improvements for the Nation Act of 2016. Throughout 2016, EPA conducted independent specialized sampling to ensure that corrective actions were working and that Flint's water quality continued to improve. Data from EPA, MDEQ, Virginia Tech, and others demonstrated significant progress. Lead levels have substantially decreased, and orthophosphate continues to improve the protective coating in pipes. Who owns our water? Wildlife and Nature by Frank Carini, May 10th, 2011. The question of water ownership has been debated since at least ancient Rome. The number of people served by private water companies grew from 51 million in 1990 to nearly 300 million in 2002, according to the Journal of Water Resources Planning and Management. A third of the world, about 900 million people, doesn't have adequate access to clean water. In the United States, each person on average uses about 150 gallons of water daily. In Britain, that per person average falls to 30 gallons a day. In the world's poorer countries, such as Kenya, millions of people subsist on less than 5 gallons a day. Last July, the United Nations declared safe and clean drinking water and sanitation a human right essential to the full enjoyment of life. According to the UN, a person needs 13 gallons of water a day for drinking, bathing, and cooking. America wastes billions of gallons of potable water annually on such practices as watering lawns. A third of U.S. water use is devoted to landscape management, according to Sheila Dormady, director of Clean Water Action Rhode Island, and hosing down sidewalks. We've done it. We've hosed down the sidewalk. You've seen people in front of stores hosing down the sidewalk. 85% of the people in the United States served by public water companies. Opponents of water privatization also have problems with companies profiting from water, which they argue is a public resource. Is the air we breathe the next essential resource for sale? They wonder. Nearly 73 million people are now served by a private company or municipality involved in a public-private partnership, according to the trade group, the National Association of Water Companies. Since early last year, the city of Sacramento, California has allowed the Swiss company Nestle to bottle and sell excess tap water. Listen. Since early last year, the city of Sacramento, California has allowed the Swiss company Nestle to bottle and sell excess tap water. The proposal drew opposition at a time when residents were being asked to conserve water, but city officials said the Nestle water bottling plant would provide $14 million in financial benefits to the city, including goods the company would buy locally and 40 full-time jobs. According to the advocacy group Save Our Sacramento Water, Nestle is paying $1 per 750 gallons of water. Nestle is paying $1 per 750 gallons of water. Nestle, the global leader in bottled water sales, sells its product in North America under such regional brands as Ice Mountain, Deer Park, Poland Springs, Arrowhead, Ozarka, Zephyrills, and Calistoga for about $1.50 for a 16.9 ounce bottle. The biggest concern of opponents of water commodification is the growing proportion of bottled water sold in stores that comes from municipal taps or is taken from springs that feed private wells and surface waters. As much as 40% of bottled water is drawn from municipal sources, according to the 2009 documentary Tapped. The Washington, D.C. based nonprofit water advocacy group Food and Water Watch has looked at average water rates charged by utilities in California, Illinois, Wisconsin, and New York, and it found that private utilities charge consumers significantly higher water rates than public ones did, as much as 50% more. In Stockton, California, residents collected enough signatures to require a vote on contracting out the city's water services, but politics got in the way. The mayor got the city council to do an end run around its concerned residents and vote for privatization before a ballot vote could be taken. The petitioners responded by circulating new petitions requiring a vote. The company looked the company looking to take control of Stockton's water, OMI Thames Water, donated $75,000 in 1 week's time to defeat the petition. In February 2003, the City Council approved a 20-year, $600 million contract with OMI Thames Water for the operation and maintenance of the city's water, wastewater, and stormwater utilities. OMI Thames began operating Stockton's water utilities 6 months later. The city's water services are now controlled by California Water Service Company, Cal Water, which is the largest investor-owned American water utility west of the Mississippi River and the third largest in the country according to its website, www.calwater.com. One of the main arguments for privatization of water systems is that it will save municipalities money. For example, the aforementioned mayor of Stockton claimed that the deal with OMI Thames Water would save the city as much as $97 million compared to continued public utility operation. In some states, however, the question of water ownership starts before a raindrop even hits the ground. Laws restricting property owners from collecting water that falls on their property have been on the books for a while in many western states, despite studies that have found that letting people collect rainwater on their property actually reduces demand on water facilities and improves conservation. Rainwater storage is now limited to one underground 2,500 gallon container or two above ground 100-gallon containers. Colorado and Washington have rainwater and snowmelt collection restrictions that limit the free use of water that has fallen from the heavens. In Washington, reclamation of rainwater is illegal because it is considered a in Washington, reclamation of rainwater is illegal because it is considered a natural resource that is owned by the state and falls under the jurisdiction of the State Department of Ecology. One more time. In Washington, reclamation of rainwater is illegal because it is considered a natural resource that is owned, by the state and falls under the jurisdiction of the State Department of Ecology. Do you take care of yourself? Do you take care of yourself? Do you take care of yourself and your family? With all this money that everybody getting, with all this money that everybody encouraging you to get, does all this money empower you to take care of yourself? Yeah, I know you got a lot of stuff and your money has afforded you the power to move up classes. Do you take care of yourself or are you a baby? The Natural Child Project, The Human Baby by James Kimmel, PhD. Let's come back to the first part. Let's move beyond the first part. Let's come back to the first part later. I think the first part should be the end part. There has never been a baby who lived without the help and support of another human being. Babies' needs and who babies become have to do not only with their genes, but with the caretakers and the society in which they develop. Babies are no longer cared for in ways that fit them, but in ways that make them fit their society. From cultural conditioning, we can believe, for example, that biological mothering is unimportant, unnecessary, and an unfair and burdensome intrusion on women's lives, or that too much nurturing spoils babies and is harmful to their development, or even that some babies, depending on their gender, imperfection at birth, parentage, or illegitimacy, should not live. Since ancient times, however, continuing until the present, there has been a concerted effort in Western civilization to eliminate the necessity for the natural mother to nurture her newborn and to give over their baby's care to others. Wet nurse and baby bottle attest to these historical facts. They have dramatically changed the biological conditions for human reproduction, the way new human life develops, and perhaps the human species itself. One does find, however, that as these groups are exposed to civilized ways, the care of babies and young children become less nurturing and more harsh, cruel, and punitive. Let's go back. Let's look over that entire portion because I think it's important. The history of childhood in the civilized world reveals that babies have not always been perceived as lovable or needing tenderness. At various times and for varied reasons, they have been seen as evil, harmful, burdensome, worthless, unwanted, and expendable. They have, of course, been treated in accordance with these beliefs about them. Lloyd deMause, in his book on the history of child care, has stated, "The history of childhood is a nightmare from which we have only recently begun to awaken. The further back in history one goes, the lower the level of child care, and the more likely children are to be killed, abandoned, beaten, terrorized, and abused." deMause is referring to the societies of civilization. deMause is referring to the societies of civilization, not to the society of people living outside civilization. The story of people who live as hunter-gatherers is quite different as regards children than the one described by him. Studies by Anthropologists of hunter-gatherer groups do not describe infant and child care in these groups as a nightmare. They usually describe the care of the young as indulgent. One does find, however, that as these groups are exposed to civilized ways, the care of babies and young children become less nurturing and more harsh, cruel, and punitive. The human individual, as compared to other animals, is poorly endowed to survive in nature. We have no claws or fangs that can serve as weapons. We are slow moving, and we have no protective armor. Even our superior brain, coupled with the manual dexterity that allows us to create what we can imagine, would have little survival value if we were not able to act collectively. The nurturing mother infant interaction, rooted in the mother's capacity to care about the life she creates, was for most of our existence the model for all human relationships and the foundation for human society. A human baby born today to any parents anywhere in the world would have no trouble fitting into a hunter gatherer society. He evolved to do so. On the other hand, any baby born today in modern society does not fit our world, nor would any baby born in the past fit it either. In a society where a baby lives and develops without its mother presence and without human tenderness, some babies, if not most, become a different kind of human than they were meant to be. In a society where a baby lives and develops without his mother's presence and without human tenderness, some babies, if not most, become a different kind of human than they were meant to be. They must adapt to and fit the substitutes that have replaced natural mothering: formula, pacifiers, cribs, playpens, security objects, and substitute caregivers. In doing so, they are, as adults, different from adults who develop in relation to a nurturing mother. Now let's go. Now let's go to the beginning. Let's go to the beginning. Which is a proper end. The human infant is a helpless creature at birth. He is virtually immobile. He cannot creep, walk, or speak, and is greatly limited in his ability to act with purpose. Unlike other primates, he cannot even hold on to or cling to his mother. He must be carried if he is to go from one place to another. 75% of his brain develops after birth. He cannot continue to live without the efforts of another human. He requires years of development before he can care for himself. A baby's helplessness and immature development requires a source of care. Do the right thing, man.